Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Crochet Diaries. I'm your host Claudia, and if you're new, welcome to this podcast segment on my channel where I just talk about all things crochet, knit and fun with a yarn. I'm so grateful that you guys clicked on today's episode. Being a crocheter, there's just some crochet things that needed to be debunked. Okay, maybe not debunked, but there's just some crochet things that I thought need to be talked about. I just wanted to share with you guys some of the crochet expectations versus reality. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and if you do, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Let's just get into today's episode. I have all of the expectations versus reality in my Notions app. I'm actually now a Notions girly. I'm obsessed with it. Like, why did nobody tell me how addictive Notions was? I use it for everything now. I use it for planning, I use it for pattern writing, I use it for everything. So let's get into it, guys. The first expectation is that when you first start learning how to crochet, you see something and think, oh my gosh, I could definitely make that. Like, you see it and think, okay, kind of know how to make the basic stitches, you know how to do double crochet, half double crochet, all of that stuff. You know how to do the basics. So you decide to find a picture or find a tutorial, look at the tutorial, like see the image of whatever product it is, and then you say, oh my gosh, I can definitely make that. But then the reality is that once you actually pick up that hook and the yarn, you soon find out that you actually can't. It takes a lot of practice before you can pick up a hook and a yarn and say you can crochet something. I still have those days where I look at something and think I could definitely crochet it. Then when I start crocheting, I'm like, oh shoot, I can't. But I've come to terms with, you know, having the expectation that I would know how to crochet something just by seeing it. Obviously there's some stuff that I can crochet just by seeing it, but then other ones that I don't really know how to crochet, I still give it a go anyways, because eventually you're gonna get it. So you just keep practicing and you just get the hang of it. Okay, next expectations versus reality is that everybody says that crochet is relaxing. It relaxes your mind. It's a peaceful hobby to have. You know, if you've had a bad, stressful day at work or at school, you just pick up your hook and your yarn and you're instantly swept away to the tranquility, peaceful land of nothingness. The reality of crocheting is actually far from that, depending on what it is you're crocheting. I've had crochet sessions where I'm stressing out, literally on the verge of tears, because the thing I'm trying to crochet just doesn't want to work. Especially when you're counting stitches and then you suddenly forget how to count. I want to say that I'm good at maths, but the minute I start counting stitches, any number above 100, I start to forget how to count. And then it stresses me out because you need to get the right number of stitches or the right count for your stitches if you're trying to make something that, you know, measurements is very important to make. And it gets stressful when you like miss stitches or you miscount or you've missed. Oh my gosh, the worst part is when you're crocheting and you realize that you messed up the pattern halfway through and you're literally almost done with the pattern and you're like, oh, you messed it up, but you don't want to go back and do it again because it took you ages to do it, and when you were doing it, it was stressing you out and you just don't want to go through that stress again. If you're crocheting something super simple, something that you've made thousands of times, then it's going to be peaceful because you know what it is you're doing. You know that there's not going to be any crazy counting or any major maths included. If you're crocheting something brand new that you've never crocheted before and you suddenly have to start counting or using measurements and all that crazy stuff, then it gets stressful and then the piece is just no longer a thing. Another annoying thing that makes crochet not as peaceful as people think is that when you're trying to crochet, I know a lot of you crocheters like get what I'm trying to say here, but when you're crocheting and the flipping hook doesn't want to go into the stitch that you're crocheting, like every single time you put it in the stitch, like it just comes out and it just comes off the crochet hook, like that gets very annoying very quickly. And yeah, when you're battling the crochet hook and the yarn trying to get them to cooperate and they don't want to cooperate, it gets annoying. Another expectations versus reality, you expect to finish a crochet project within a specific time frame you give yourself. So for example, I can start crocheting, say, a skirt, a maxi skirt, right? And I give myself a week to crochet it. That week ends up becoming 2 weeks, ends up becoming 3 weeks, ends up becoming I never finished that project, and now it's ended up as a WIP, a work in progress. Only the progress is never complete. That is the reality of crocheting. You tell yourself you're going to crochet something and finish crocheting it within a certain time frame, and then that time frame never happens, and it ends up becoming months and years since you last worked on that project. Next, expectation versus reality. I'm going to buy this yarn and use it for my next project. I'm going to use it for my next project. But then you see a different yarn and say the exact same thing, and then you stash that yarn with the other yarn that you stashed, and then you just keep buying more yarn, saying that you're going to use it to make a project. The reality of this is that you never actually use the yarn that you say you're going to use to make a project, because that yarn never gets touched because you buy more yarn. That is the reality of crocheting. So yeah. Next, expectations versus reality is that you expect people to be understanding of the time and effort you put into it, but the reality of it is that fast fashion has actually become so problematic that people actually don't appreciate handmade stuff, because they think, oh yeah, but Shein sells this for £3.50, why are you selling this for £50? But it's the same product. Do you get, like, they don't appreciate the prices, or they don't appreciate the effort or time that goes into creating something you've crocheted. Sadly, that is just the harsh reality of life in general. Expectations versus reality. Expectation is that you would expect people to know the difference between crocheting and knitting, because they have completely two different tools. Like, crocheting uses a crochet hook, and then knitting uses 2 needles. But the reality is that a lot of people actually don't know the difference, which is crazy to me, because there clearly very much is a difference. The only similarity is the fact that they both use yarn to create something like clothing or whatever. But a lot of people just don't seem to care to learn the difference between them, and that's just the reality of it. You tell yourself, oh, I'm only going to spend an hour a day crocheting, because you know, you have other things to do. You have a job, you have school, you have homework, whatever it is you have other things to do besides crocheting, right? So you give yourself an hour. Realistically, that's not enough time to crochet, as so I've learned. Give yourself an hour, only an hour, and then that hour turns to 2 hours, turns to 3 hours, turns to 4 hours, turns to the whole day, turns to me not sleeping at night, turns to me staying up the whole night to crochet something because I told myself I was only going to crochet for an hour. But telling yourself, one more row, I'm only going to finish this one more row, and then I'm going to go to sleep. Put your hands up if you're a crocheter and you've told yourself, I'm only going to crochet one more row. I'll wait for everyone to put their hands up, because I know every single one of you watching this video who crochets has told yourself, I'm only going to crochet one more row, and then you end up finishing the project, or you end up not sleeping because that one more row turned into, I have to finish this tonight. Yeah, the reality is that you never actually do finish that one more row. You don't. And I want to say it's okay, but it's not okay, because you need to give yourself a break. You need to give yourself time. You need to just separate crocheting with your life. Another crochet expectations versus reality. This one is more or less for my crocheters who are active on social media and who post their content on social media. You tell yourself that, okay, you have your yarn, you have everything that you need, and you're going to start this project. You're going to record the beginning. You're going to record, you're going to record the skein of yarn, and then you're going to record the process of you crocheting, and then you're going to record yourself with the finished products, right? All in one sitting. Okay, maybe not in one sitting, depending on what you're crocheting, but you tell yourself you're going to do all of that and film the content for that specific project because you're excited and you want to work on it. But then the reality of this is that you never actually finish recording from start to finish of whatever product it is you're making. Like, there have been times when I've gotten whatever project it is I'm working on, and I've told myself, okay, I'm gonna make content out of this specific thing that I'm making. I'm gonna start with the skein, I'm gonna show me crocheting, I'm gonna show me doing the next stage of it, and then I'm gonna show the finished products of me wearing it, hopefully in the same day. But the reality of this is that doesn't always happen. Like, maybe if you're making a hat it would happen, but if you're making something bigger, it most likely won't, especially if you're someone who's quite forgetful and you forget to continue recording. Yeah. Another annoying thing about this is that sometimes you might record everything, but then for some reason it doesn't save, or the footage gets lost or deleted. That one there, annoying. It's happened to me a lot of times, but that's just the reality, I guess. Sometimes crochet doesn't need to be shared. Like, the process doesn't need to be shared. Maybe it just needs to have a start and a finish, and that's it. maybe that's just what it is. But yeah, okay guys, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you did, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Bye guys.